we just kind of go along. Like, we don't get deliberate about our thoughts and our dreams and our goals and our manifestations. Like, we don't get deliberate enough about that. Instead, what we do is we fall in fucking line. We fall in line with society. We fall in line. And I think that that is a conversation that you need to be having with yourself all of the time. Are you identifying with a weak as fuck woman? Are you identifying as a victim?
The ultimate compliment is to be considered an asset by those who know you. But what exactly does that mean? And how do we get there? I believe that there is a less discussed approach to becoming a person of value, a person who is successful, respected by others, and fulfilled. It's somewhere between the hustle culture and the ease and flow of manifestation. This podcast is designed to be a resource for the ambitious, the relentless, and the rare who are breaking societal norms, going against the grain, and are open to unconventional practices as we study what it takes to be a true asset in every area of life. My hope is that you'll find this podcast unique and like it enough to share it with a friend and maybe even one day join us at one of our in-person events. Enjoy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today as I am going to share with you a topic that is very near and dear to me as a coach. This is a conversation I have with all of my clients. This is a conversation that I have with myself. I do a lot of mirror work. I'm doing a lot of work with this topic. I go over this topic a lot with my own coach. And it is something that I just feel very important that I want to talk to you about. It's your self-identity, how you identify as yourself. And I think it's important to know that this is going to change all of the time. I think it's important for me to share with you that this podcast has literally been a blog of my life. Okay. It has been a blog of my life. I started this podcast back in 2018, early 2018. And I started it for therapy for myself. And I have kept up with it. It has been a lot of work. There's been times where I've been able to release a podcast nearly every day. There's times where I'd like go months without releasing a podcast episode. But my listeners have been incredibly loyal, have been amazing to me, and have stuck with me this entire time. And so I am very happy to say that I believe that this is year 5 of this podcast, but this podcast has been, you get to hear my evolution. You get to hear my transformations. You can go back and listen to me in 2018 and compare me to today. And I am different. And if we aren't changing, if we are not evolving, then what are we doing? That is what we are here to do, is what we're meant to do on this earth. And so in autumn fashion, I'm going to share with you what I'm going through, and we're going to talk about it and how it applies to you, just as I would my coaching clients. So what's kind of fun in this moment is this is actually pretty similar to the conversations that I have with my actual clients. They are on a walkie-talkie app with me. And so I hit walkie-talkie, I hit play, and then we go, and they're instantly communicating with me, and they're instantly hearing all of my thoughts, which is powerful and helpful because we go back and forth. When I'm energized, which is what you're getting right now. And one of the things that I'm pretty good at, and this isn't just me saying and tooting my own horn, this is one of the things that my clients, again, I've been doing this professionally for the last 8 years, having coaching clients, doing the things, doing the business. They all will tell me I'm very good at guiding them to have a breakthrough, changing their perspective. I'm very good at that. And this is how I do it, is through my own experiences. And what I'm going through right now is understanding our own self-identity. And you get to choose who and what you identify as. I think what happens And I would love for you to reflect as I'm chatting with you about this today. I'd really love for you to reflect in your own life and everything that's happened with you. Um, we just kind of go along. Like, we don't get deliberate about our thoughts and our dreams and our goals and our manifestations. Like, we don't get deliberate enough about that. Instead, what we do is we fall in fucking line. We fall in line with society. We fall in line with what everybody else wants us to think, how they want us to act, who they want us to be. But we don't take the time to figure out who we identify with or who we are identifying as. And it's a deliberate thing, because if we aren't careful, we're going to get caught up in identifying as somebody who we're not, identifying as a group of people that we're surrounding ourselves with, identifying as who our parents identified us as, who our family identifies as. But maybe that's not who you are. I have this beautiful client. She's been with me for years, and she is constantly trying to break away from her family's identification of her. There's nothing wrong with her family. Her family's beautiful, loving, supportive family. It's just that she's like, I'm just not sure that I'm 100% like them. Like, I'm me. I'm who I am. I want to be me. I want to be 100% me. And I think that that is a conversation that you need to be having with yourself all of the time. Are you identifying with a weak as fuck woman? Are you identifying as a victim? Now, I'm gonna out myself right now. I have been. I've been doing a lot of transformation work in my own life. I would never, ever been able to grow the business that I have, the following that I have, if I was not doing my own work. I only tell you to do what the fuck I'm doing. And that is as authentic as I could possibly be. Is if I'm here, I'm in the trenches with you. The only difference is I might be 1 to 2 steps ahead of where you are. That's it. That's also what I feel makes me effective, because we are a lot alike. I get you, you get me. So I have really identified a thought pattern in myself, this whole idea that I'm a victim. And I didn't mean, like, it's not something I've consciously put out there. I'm like, I didn't know that I was having a victim mindset. I didn't know that I was acting like that. But there has been so many situations that I've been dissecting. I've been going through meditations. I've been doing yoga. I've been reading and studying books. I've been doing mirror work, trauma work. I have a good friend. She's my spiritual running buddy. Her and we've been having deep conversations, my own coach, therapist, etc. Like, that's my whole support system. And what's been coming up the last 2 weeks consecutively, consistently, like over and over again, is like, fuck, like, I'm being a victim. I have a victim mentality. I have a victim's mindset. And what the problem is a lot of people, and myself included, if I wasn't doing the work to identify that, I would never be able to shift it. And subconsciously, I would be always identifying in some capacity as a victim. Now, do you think that I have not, this isn't a conscious fucking thing here. You are not consciously identifying as the shit you don't want to identify as. But guess what? You're doing, if you feel that way, then you are doing it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you're enjoying it and getting some good stuff, mind-shifting things from this. I just wanted to remind you super quick that if we are not hanging out on social media, we should be. You should come hang out with me. I am the Autumn Clifford on Instagram. I'm Autumn Clifford on TikTok, and I have a Facebook group called She's an Asset. Love to have you there. Love to hang out with you and get to know you. Thank you so much for supporting my show. Let's continue. I continuously have felt like a victim to people not liking me, a victim to like the haters on the internet, a victim to, I don't know, my weight, my self-identity, a victim to just different money situations, maybe a victim in my relationship to some extent, in my friendship, like in every aspect. I'm like, it just doesn't work for me. This is so hard. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. It doesn't work for people like me. Those are the thought patterns that I've been entrenched in, not realizing like, whoa, this is really deep. And for me, the self-identity of being a victim has been a defense mechanism. And I guarantee you, whatever you've been entrenched in has been a defense mechanism for you. For me, the victim's mentality that I have been buying into subconsciously for a very long time, or identifying as, same thing, for a long time, has been a defense mechanism for me, because if I'm a victim, then people can't hate me. You see, what you might not know about me is that I have had a deep, deep fear of not being liked, not being loved, not belonging, and has run me all up until now. I've let that go. I'm letting that go. Like, fuck that. I don't care anymore. But the truth is a piece of me will always care, but I just have to choose in every day and every moment. It's a minute to minute thing to let that go. And because I have cared so deeply about other people liking me, and it's never going to work. People don't like us, you guys. Not everybody likes us. And why do they need to? Right? Like, why do we need everybody to like us? We don't. But we create these stories. There's these ideas. There's these what's it called? Like, not a hypothesis, but it's there's these ideas that if you right, that if you act a certain way, then you are insecure, or you have like a insecure attachment style, yada yada, and if you don't act a certain way, then you are secure attachment style, and all of the things. It's just all these different things. Okay. And I do agree. I don't disagree with any of it, but it's just, that's too fucking complicated for my brain. I have to keep things very fucking simple. And if you've been with me long enough, then I like to keep it simple. Very simple. And here's the simplicity of that. The more that I'm depending on anybody else to tell me who I am, the more inauthentic I actually am being. I think authenticity is a very complicated thing. And I have been on this deep journey. I used to think authenticity, and you can go and look at any, one of the things I feel like I've grown up on social media, because I started my business back when I was 26 years old. And I used to think authenticity was like me showing up with no makeup, my hair being like whatever, just showing up and saying however I felt. I don't really think that was authenticity. I think authenticity is actually being able to be who we are in all time, in all moments, and being able to speak our truth and putting ourselves above what anybody else's expectations are of us. I think that's what true authenticity is. And I think the reason I'm bringing up authenticity is because I really believe you have to know who you are, or you have to go down that journey, and you have to start to get to know who you are. Again, that's not a destination, because we're constantly changing. I started out the beginning of this podcast discussing how, like, wow, you can really like see my evolution, see my change. I really believe that we're constantly changing, and it's never a destination on discovering our whole self. I do believe it's a journey, but I believe that in order for you to start identifying with who you actually are, you have to get to know who you actually are. And that process is transformation. That process sucks. Like, it really does. Healing is not for the faint of heart. Looking in that, we're going to quote David Goggins, and looking in that accountability mirror is a bitch. Especially when you're relentless about it, and you're just like, I'm going to be here and I'm going to look at myself and I'm going to show up, and it sucks. And I'm going to feel this fucking feeling. Do you think it's been easy for me to be like, wow, that's the victim in me coming out. That's the victim mentality that I've bought into subconsciously. No, it hasn't been fun. But here's the thing. All of everything that I've said, and then, and I love using the word and. A lot of people love to use the word or but I'm telling you, all of everything I just said, and we all have the power to choose. You have the power to choose what you identify with and who you identify as every day. Now, let's not take this to this whole fucking like gender shit. I'm not getting into that. Like, please understand that is not what we're discussing. I'm talking about in a personal development aspect, a mindset, a personality aspect. Like, do you identify as somebody who has got it together, or are you completely identifying as somebody who's a mess all the time? Are you identifying as a confident person or an unconfident person? Are you identifying as a career-oriented person or a family-oriented person? Are you identifying as somebody who's wealthy or somebody who's poor? Are you identifying as somebody who's fat and overweight? And I'm using the word fat to trigger you on purpose. Or are you identifying as somebody who's fit and in shape? Whatever that means. Are you identifying as somebody who loves themselves? Or are you identifying as somebody who doesn't, who is never good enough? Deep, deep questions. This is definitely a deeper podcast. I probably should have warned you about that. Sorry. But these are the type of questions really I get into and I dive into with my clients because they're the most effective conversations. They're the most effective questions that we could have for true transformation. It's not about rah, get up there, motivate you. Woohoo, I want you to feel confident. You're great. You know, a lot of people think what I do is like a pep talk and like get them up there, give them a smack on the ass. You got this? No, it's this shit. And once you start doing this kind of work and you start looking in the mirror and facing this kind of shit, guess what? Real, long-lasting, true change is coming. And you are going to start choosing to identify as somebody else. And it's wonderful. And it's very, very refreshing. So I'm going to leave this with you today. Who are you identifying as? Who are you allowing to define you that might not be you? Could be your past trauma. It could be past people. It could be your parents. It could be outside influences. You define you, and you get to identify with whatever you want to identify as. You get to create your new identity right now, right here. I'm giving you permission. Let's stop acting by default, and let's start being purposeful with our thoughts, with our words, with our actions, and who we are as people. That is how we create real change. And that is, my friend, how you become a real asset in your life and everybody else's life. Now, listen, if you like this conversation, come into the She's an Asset Facebook group and join the book club, the first book club for female first responders. It's free. It's absolutely free. You don't even have to read the books. I'm going to read them. I'm going to go live every week and I'm going to tell you about them. It's awesome. I'm really excited about it. You can read along. You can follow along. I'm going to tell you about them. I'm going to apply what they're talking about to you, female first responders, strong as fuck women. I'm super excited about it. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the She's an Asset podcast. If you wouldn't mind, could you please share this out? The only way we grow and I can get this out to as many people as possible is with your help. So we're kind of in this together. And the good thing is I know you have my back. So I want to say thank you and ask for you to share the show. And if we're not hanging out in the socials, I hope that you'll come and hang out with me. I'm Autumn Clifford pretty much everywhere. Thank you so much. See you next time.